Hello everybody, Susan here with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. It's Monday and we have a new mystery case to work on this week. This week we're doing a 2-in-1 one-sheet wonder. We're going to start with a 6x6 piece of designer series paper, or if you have 12x12 you could cut it down to 6x6. You're going to want coordinating cardstock, a neutral cardstock, probably your paper trimmer, pick a stamp set and coordinating ink, and then if you want to use framelits or punches or embellishments, you know what you have, so you can go and grab them and you can play with them. Okay, so a 2-in-1, right? Last week, 2 weeks ago, we did a 3-in-1 and we started with 12x12 paper. So this week we're starting with 6x6. We're doing a 2-in-1. So I've chosen to use the Feels Like Frost designer series paper. One side is a scenic shot and the other side is white with like a silver metallic print on it, and they're all different. So this is the sheet I've chosen to use for these cards today and tomorrow. So I'm going to show you how I decided to break up my 6x6 piece of designer series paper, and then I'm going to make one of the cards for you today on the video, and then I'm going to show the second project tomorrow in the video. So I've got the Feels Like Frost paper. This one coordinates with the Highland Heather and the Purple Posy and the Whisper White. Okay, so there's my coordinating colors. And I'm going to take my 6x6 paper, okay, and before I cut it, I'm going to figure out kind of how big a piece I want to use for one card and then what's going to be left over. So as you can see, I've got my grid paper, and here's my 6x6. So I kind of want to do a card with a panel, like a big scenic panel in it. So I probably want at least half the sheet. But then the rest of the paper, right, if I take half of the sheet as my scenic, I'm kind of left with that piece, which is fine for scenic paper if I just wanted to do two of the same card, cut it in half and be done. But that's a little bit drab, maybe. So I think I want to use the other side for the second card. But how do I want to use the other side for the second card? So I've decided I want to use a framelit from the Stitch So Sweetly, and so I need to know how big does this piece need to be to get a framelit piece out of there. And actually I'd like more than one, maybe 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my grid paper and my framelit, and so how big does that framelit need to be? So here I go. So I was thinking about half, so that works out. So here's 3 inches. Right, so if I cut it down the middle, that would be 3 inches. That leaves me enough for this framelit. So now, if I'm very careful on my cutting, I could get a piece here, and I could get another piece here, and I could get another piece there. Okay, so I know I have to come up this high, and I can get 3 of them with that framelit. And then I have all this rest. So that happens to be 5 1/4 by 3. So that's pretty good size for a front scenic piece. And then I'm just going to segment this into my other parts. So like I said, this piece ends up being 3 by 5 1/4. Each of these end up being 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 3/4. So I'll have 3 of those that are the same that I can die cut with that Stitched So Sweetly die. And then that's going to leave me a 6 by 3/4 piece at the top, which I know I can turn that into a piece of ribbon, right? Pattern ribbon, cardstock ribbon, to use on either the first project or the second project. So that's how I'm going to cut my 6x6 up for the 2 cards today and tomorrow. Okay? Alright, so let's get started. So, this one, like I said, I'm going to use on the second card, so I'm going to put that away for right now. So I've already done the cutting, but I wanted to show you my thought process of how I decided how to cut my paper. I'm going to be using my coordinating papers, right? So I've got my Highland Heather card base. I've just scored and folded that in half. Then I've taken from the Ornate Layers dies. This large die, which I sometimes have a hard time using because it's longer than it is wide and it's got some odd framing, but look what I did with it, or what I'm thinking I'm going to do with it. So I have this one panel from our 6x6. Remember, it's 3 by 5 1/4. So I could just pop that on there and put in my sentiment and call it good, right? I could even maybe dry emboss the back. But I decided I wanted a little bit of a scalloped edge along the side. And I thought about this panel. So I don't want to use the whole thing. I'm just going to use the edge. Okay, I'm just going to use the edge. So I could do it on my paper trimmer, but it's not here at the table. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut up. I only want the edge. So you're not going to see this part, right? So this now becomes for a different project. So now I have just enough to add to the edge of my paper. Now the bottom and the top are a little bit showing. So what I'm going to do, first I'm going to adhere it to here. So I'm just going to run adhesive along that edge. Okay, that's going to be mounted to that. I'm going to go ahead and mount it. So I'm just placing it down so all those little eyelet pieces are showing. Okay, but now there's just a little bit hanging on the top. So I'm just going to come in with my scissors and I'm just going to kind of cut it to the corner. See how I'm getting between and I'm just cutting it out to the corner. So just a little bit of work with your scissors. Okay, so now I have this nice piece with this decorative edge on it. Okay, so the next thing I did is I had some scrap in my scrap bins and I've taken it and I've cut one from the Highland Heather and then I stamped with my Highland Heather ink Sending Healing Hugs. That came from So Sentimental to the Purple Posy, and then I die cut that with the smaller one. So those are going to layer together really nicely. So those are from the Stitched So Sweetly. So if I have those, and they layer together nicely, so now I'm going to have a Get Well card. Alright, so now my only choice is, do I want to add another like paper ribbon to anchor it, or do I just want it to float? So these are all little decisions you can do, and because I had my scrap bins out, I just had this piece, so it's like, do I want to add it, do I not want to add it? I'm not sure. So let's go ahead and add our layer first. I'm going to pop it up on dimensionals just because I wanted to have a little extra shadowing along the edges. I think that'll be a nice easy way to add a little embellishment just by popping it up. Okay, so I'm going to put this here now. I could go right along the edge, but I'm going to leave some of that framing on the outside. Okay, so now I've got my sentiment, and let's see, I think I'm going to adhere that one down. I don't want it to get too big. So I'm going to put that one down flat. This one I am going to put on dimensionals. So before I put that on, let's decide with or without the paper ribbon. I think I'm going to go without the paper ribbon. I don't think I need that border across there for any reason. So I'm going to put one here, okay, and I'm going to put one on the other side. Now I put it there so that I'm not guessing on my placement of that one. I can just put this over the top. Okay? And because I didn't put dimensionals in the middle, this one's going to push down, and so it's going to be about the same thickness. Okay, so that's card number one. So remember, I started with 12 by 12, coordinating papers, a stamp set. I decided how I wanted to cut up my 6 by 6. So maybe you don't want to follow these exact measurements. That's okay, they're your cards. But the idea is to start with 6 by 6 and to think about how you want to segment it to get 2 cards out of it. 2 cards. I feel like Nixon. I'm not Nixon. I feel like 2 cards out of it. So I have one big panel, and then I'm using these smaller panels for my second card. Okay? So be creative. You can follow right along with my instructions and make things similar, or you can do your own. So, but just think about it before you cut your paper. All right, everybody, this is going to be mystery case number 24. So stay tuned. We'll have some fun this week. And remember, send me your photos of your projects as you finish them so that I can share them on the blog, or you can share them on our Stampin' Chat Facebook group. All right, if you need any help, you know how to reach me, Susan at pumpkinhillstampers.com, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.